Tonight is my Halloween special. I'm going to scare the crap out of any justice-loving person in the country. We have an interview here of a judge who wrote a book, and she's going to tell us all about Judge Bruce Schroeder and how racist he is. Now, what's so scary about that? Wait till she opens her mouth. If you believe in the scales of justice, be prepared to be very afraid. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnnie Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnnie Walker Dread Show.
Okay. Wow. That's all I can say. Wow. Wait till you hear it. You'll be saying the same thing. And I'm telling you right now, even the anti-Kyles are going to be listening to this and thinking, yeah, okay, well, that's not what we're really wanting to say here. This judge is absolutely frightening.
Talk about police reform on both the local and federal level, and it's often been a topic on the show, but rarely do we discuss it from the viewpoint of the judge. And today we have the opportunity to do just that with a former judge. LaDorris Hazzard Cordell is a retired California Superior Court judge, and she joins us now. She's also the author of the book, Her Honor, My Life on the Bench, What Works, What's Broken, and How to Change It.
She wrote a book and called it Her Honor. How arrogant can you be? I mean, let somebody else write a book about you and call it that. Obviously, self-confidence and self-esteem is not her problem.
Judge, thanks for being with us. First of all, let's tackle the issue of one of your colleagues, your former colleagues on the bench, a judge who says that I'm not going to refer to the African Americans in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and the others who were shot by Kyle Rittenhouse as victims. He says you can say arsonist, you can say rioter, you can say looter. Your thoughts on that?
Well, before we begin, that's not what Judge Bruce Schroeder said. It is true that he has banned use of the word victims in his court. However, he did not say that you can call Gage and Anthony and JoJo arsonists, looters, and rioters. Okay? He's setting the ground rules for the trial, and he has denied the motion by Thomas Claire Binger to ban use of the terms. But that doesn't mean he's going to allow them. If the defense calls, for example, Gage Grosskreutz a rioter, the prosecution can object, and the judge very well may sustain their objection on that point. The judge is simply not willing at this point to ban use of those terms outright. And she should know better.
First, thank you so much for having me on, Del. I have a chapter in my book called Bad Judges, and had I know about Judge Bruce Schroeder,
Are you in the chapter 2?
I would have put him in that chapter. It's absolutely outrageous, and this is what we call blatant, in my view, blatant racism.
This is blatant racism. The fact that the defense could, under certain circumstances, call Gage, Anthony, and JoJo rioters and arsonists is racist. How in the hell does that work? Well, I'll tell you, it's the race card. They pull it out. They don't care if all the people involved are white. How would you like to be a white person in her court facing prosecution?
The bias of this judge is horrendous. It's shameful, and it doesn't make trial court judges look good. So his view is for 3 individuals, all of whom were white, who were murdered, 2 of whom were murdered, one.
Wait, they were murdered? Oh, hell, usually we like to wait till after the trial when we reach a verdict to call them murderers. But in her court, you don't even have to have the trial start. She has already convicted Kyle Rittenhouse of murder, and he hasn't even gone to trial yet. Guilty until proven innocent. Yeah, it's scary, and I defy any anti-Kyles out there. Those of you who want Kyle Rittenhouse convicted, I defy you to support what she just said. Go ahead, in the comments below, support what she said. She called Kyle Rittenhouse's actions murder before he has even gone to court.
Seriously injured by Kyle Rittenhouse. He's refusing. Two of them are dead. He's refusing to call them victims.
Right, and he explained why, and his explanation is quite reasonable. And Thomas Clare Binger, in his infinite wisdom, decided to go ahead and reinforce Judge Schroeder's reasoning by even mentioning victims of crime in one of his statements. The connotation is that if you call somebody a victim in a court hearing, that a crime has been committed against them. That's the connotation. It doesn't matter what the dictionary says, it's the connotation that matters. And if they are the victim of a crime and Kyle Rittenhouse is on trial for that crime, you're all but convicting them in the eyes of the jury. That's why Judge Bruce Schroeder does not allow use of the term victim, and no judge should, in my opinion. And she doesn't even broach that. That's a perfectly valid argument. May not agree with it. Why doesn't she now go on and explain why that argument is invalid? And she doesn't.
But they can be labeled all other kinds of things. And one thing he doesn't.
That's not true. Again, Judge Bruce Schroeder has simply denied the prosecution's motion to ban those terms. He still may not allow them. It's up to the prosecution to object when they hear them.
Also label them, and what the defense doesn't want them to be labeled as is protesters, because protest is legal in this country. So there's not much to say other than shame on the judge, and people in Wisconsin ought to look to ways to see that judges like him shouldn't be on the bench.
I would put Judge Bruce Schroeder's understanding of the law against yours any day you like.
Judge, as a journalist, I sat in superior courts and I was stunned at what you guys have to go through. I think that any civics class should include a classroom sitting in the back of a superior court chambers and watching what happens. Is the system broken? And I bring it up this way because so many people are moved through so fast that don't have lawyers, and yet judges like you are forced to make almost Hobson's choices between, do I send them to jail or do I send them back out on the street, when both of them may not be the right answer to the question that you're faced with?
He advocates sending students into her court. Can you imagine what the white kids would be thinking after spending just a few days in her court? They would think they don't have a chance at all.
Yeah, that's such a terrific question. And in response, initially, I encourage everyone to read Her Honor, because I do write about the experience of state trial court judges, of whom there are about 27,000 in a country of almost 400 million people. And these black-robed individuals make thousands of decisions, tens of thousands of decisions in their judicial career. So it's important for people to understand the system, how it works. And Del, you're right. Appellate judges who review trial court judges' decisions, they can take 60 days, 6 months to make their decisions. Trial court judges, 6 minutes, and sometimes 60 seconds in order to make decisions. So it's
in some cases, like in her court, you could make the decision before the trial has even begun. Kyle Rittenhouse, I find you guilty. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start jury selection.
important for people to understand who they are, how they get to be a judge. State court trial judges are elected. How does that happen? How does it work? Is that the right thing to do? So in my book, I have a chapter called The Fix, where I talk about how the system and our legal system is broken. And for a reason, I don't call, for example, the criminal justice system, I don't call it that. I call it the criminal legal system.
Gee, I wonder if she's contributing to that.
Because we're not there yet in terms of justice. There are things that are broken that need to be fixed, and I suggest 10 of them in the chapter, The Fix.
I love me some lawyers. My sister teaches law at a major university, so I had to say that, or she would sue me. But that being the case, one of the problems in the system also, we talk about police and we talk about judges, but we don't talk about lawyers, and the fact that in a lot of small towns, the only way they can make their money is by the mill, the grist. Talk about that for a second, the small town lawyers that just have to keep the cases going because that's how they make their money.
Keep in mind, Thomas Clare Binger is a small town lawyer. He's a prosecutor in a county that doesn't have a lot of population.
That's true, and in these small towns, we know that frequently money is raised for these small towns by imposing fines and having people have to pay fines for traffic violations in order to keep things going. So, I mean, I'm not going to blame lawyers at this point and say, they're causing a problem. If it's a small town, there isn't going to be a lot of business, and lawyers in the main take what cases come in. The lawyers I'm concerned about mostly are the prosecutors who
Oh, the prosecutors. I wonder who the prosecutor is in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
drive the system in terms of traffic cases and criminal cases, and the judges who decide what to do with individuals. I have in my book an example of a judge in a town in the South who had in his courtroom mostly black poor defendants who had not paid their fines because they weren't able to do it. So he basically said to them, "You're all going to jail unless you line up outside and give blood."
Okay, so the judge is letting them have an option to avoid jail. I don't know, it doesn't seem that bad, but okay, there might be some issues there that I'm not seeing.
And so all these people are lining up. They don't want to go to jail. This judge was eventually disciplined by the state's disciplinary board. But these are the kinds of things we really don't hear about, learn about, that are happening in these small towns, and they need to be more transparent, which means people need to know more about how people are disciplined, and we really need to look at prosecutors and how they operate in their various offices.
Yeah, we sure do, don't we? What about Thomas Clare Binger and the way he's been operating, doing everything he can to try this in the court of public opinion? That's one of the things he's done. Finding every excuse in the book he can find to have the accused thrown in jail. That's another thing he's been doing. I bet she doesn't even know Thomas Clare Binger's name.
Judge, I got 15 seconds left, but would you do it again?
Oh, please, no, don't.
It's a good question, Del, because today with social media and judges being attacked, I'm not so sure that I would go ahead and jump into the judicial ring. But that doesn't mean I don't want to discourage people from doing it, but it is a different world today.
I don't know if too many judges attacked. But do you see the problem? I hope I didn't scare you too much. But the monster is gone. She's no longer a judge. Like my video, subscribe to my channel.